Let's see here. I'm moving down. Supreme Court. Jake Coster. Just taking a look at this. Do I think the internet should be considered a root of instrument of commerce? And do you think exercising the Commerce Clause in this manner? The Commerce Clause is interesting because the Commerce Clause is used to justify anything. But Jake Foster basically asks if regarding interstate commerce, the Supreme Court has held that the U.S. government may exercise the Commerce Clause on the routes of interstate commerce, like roads, rails, and so on, and instruments of interstate commerce, like trucks and trains, and so on. While that is factually true, was an enormous error. The Commerce Clause is crystal clear. Commerce Clause says that Congress shall have the ability to regulate commerce among the states, foreign powers, and Indian tribes. If you're not a state, a foreign power, or an Indian tribe, it can't touch you. It doesn't say between the states, and most importantly, it doesn't say have regulate commerce among the people. When the Constitution was written, there were three parties involved, and they were very clear about them, and they used the same name every time. The three parties were the United States, meaning the federal government, the states, meaning the states, and the people, meaning the people. It's amazing how difficult it is to decode this cryptic language that they used. So when people say that, oh, the Commerce Clause says that we can regulate commerce like a trucking company or something, commerce between states, that's not what it says. You can regulate commerce between Alabama and Minnesota on a state level in terms of what the state governments are doing, because it says you can regulate commerce among the states. And if you happen to be an Indian tribe or a foreign power, then also the Congress has some authority over you. But to say what they want it to say, the founders would have said Congress shall have the power to regulate commerce among the people when they cross state lines. It's that kind of piece of chicanery and sleight of hand that not only is destroying the country, but makes me say with absolute confidence, 100% confidence, that are you saying the Supreme Court is wrong? I'm saying without question, categorically they're wrong. No, there's no question they're wrong. Obviously they're wrong, and they know they're wrong. So regulate commerce between the states. No, that doesn't mean a truck going from one state to another, and you know it. And when the Supreme Court makes a ruling like that, that's when it's time to say, well, the Supreme Court is wrong. I've had this conversation. You're just a guy, you're more than the Supreme Court. Yes, obviously I do. And obviously you do too, because you can read the Constitution, you can read an English sentence, you know what English means, and there's your answer. So, I don't know. It's just, it's an interesting argument. I think if I was going to go after the internet or after Facebook or YouTube or anything like that, and this may be ending up what I end up doing, because with Crowder and this other thing, that's probably where I'll probably go tomorrow. But the big question for me is, YouTube is a private company, so is Facebook, and I know every one of you, like me, whenever we get a new software upgrade and we have to click the box to read and understand the agreement, I read every single word of it, 40 or 50 pages. I read it right down to the last comma, and I decode it. And it takes me about 3.5, 4 hours to make sure I fully understand what it is I'm clicking on. And despite all of that, they are private property. And I have no doubt that whenever I click those boxes that nobody else reads either, I am agreeing to them doing what they're doing. No doubt. But I would argue, and I think most people would argue, that a 7-page legal document written in legalese that purposely covers up what it is they're trying to do, and that you had to click in order to gain access to. I think you can make the case that nobody reads those ever, and everybody knows that nobody reads them. Therefore, that's not a defense. And I would, the angle I would take, I don't know enough about the actual law to understand how solid this ground is, but I think it's a case of fraud. I think it needs to be regulated because I think their activity is fraudulent. And if we have any lawyers out there, I'd love to hear about it. But here's why I say it's fraudulent. It's beyond question, taking Facebook as an example. Prager University has a couple million subscribers. Prager had the resources to go and find out what the actual data is. Prager discovered that Facebook provides a link to their video 2% of the time. 2% of the people that specifically say, like Prager University, like it, want to see videos when they come out. Of that number of people, which is millions, the videos actually go out to 2% of them. 98% of them don't know that there aren't Prager videos up there because they clicked a button that says, I want to see the Prager videos, but that information is denied them by these algorithms, and that to me is fraudulent. I'm sorry, it is. And I don't know what else you would call it. It may say buried somewhere in the, undoubtedly does say somewhere buried in the end user agreement that YouTube has the ability to suppress any content that they don't like. And while that is undoubtedly in there, that doesn't mean that it's not fraudulent. It is an activity that they are committing an activity that their users are unaware of, and they know their users are unaware of it. Now that to me is the definition of fraud. And that's how I would go at it. In a similar vein, although a different vein, the antitrust thing becomes a factor because the issue with a trust is that there is no competition. An example I was using before was, what if I found out, and this is I think this is legitimately a straight analogy. What if I found out that I was getting charged double my electric rate was double my neighbor's because I'm a conservative? What if I found out that they decided to charge me 4 times what the person across the street was because I'm a conservative? And let's say it was in the end user agreement that I signed with what is it? LA SoCal. I don't remember the name of the thing. Is that fair? Is that legal? No. And the reason it shouldn't be legal, when I am the kind of person who thinks that somebody wants to open a restaurant that charges a conservative 5 times more than they charge liberals, that's their business. I have no problem with that. SoCal, it's not SoCal Edison, it's the other one. So I'm on a pretty thin line here with, I think people should be able to run the business the way they want to. But in the case of the electric company, if somebody opens a restaurant that says we're going to charge conservatives 5 times what we charge liberals, I can make a decision not to eat at that restaurant, or I can pay it. And so I think they have a right to do that. But if somebody decides that they're going to charge me 5 times the bill for electricity because I'm a conservative, this is a different situation because I do not have an alternative. I cannot walk away from it. I can't go someplace else. It's not a question of if you don't like the show, don't listen to it. I have no choice. I have to have the electricity. And since I can't go to another electric company, they have constrictions that come with that monopoly, and I think that's no problem at all. So I don't think there's much question that Google is a de facto monopoly. It has entered the lexicon. Google it. Just go Google it. It's like a Hoover. People used to refer to the vacuum cleaners as Hoovers. You hoover the floor. Where's the Hoover? Hoover just made a vacuum, but they made I don't know if they made the first one, but they made the first one that sold. So and same thing with Q-tips and Kleenex. All of these are actual brand names that have become brands that have become so commonly used that the brand name now this is an argument, actually. This is actually interesting for tomorrow. I always need like some kind of little hook, something weird, something different that you can kind of hang a firewall story on. And this is actually pretty cool. You know that it is essentially a monopoly. It's an interesting example there. Band-Aid, another one. Great. Yes, when you if I held this up, if I held up a cotton swab and I said to you, "What is this?" And I bet it'd be certainly be 9 out of 10. It'd probably be more than that. Probably be 10 out of 10 most of the time. If I held this up and asked what this is, virtually everybody says it's a Q-tip, even though what I pulled it's not a Q-tip. It is a cotton swab that looks exactly like a Q-tip, but it's not a Q-tip. It's a cotton swab. Q-tips are cotton swabs. Not all cotton swabs are Q-tips, but all Q-tips are cotton swabs, but it's not called a cotton swab, it's called a Q-tip. No matter who makes it, it's called a Q-tip because it's a great name. Same for Hoover, same as Cheryl pointed out, same for Band-Aid, same for Google. And so if doing research on something, if doing a search for something has now entered the common usage with the name of the company, then that is a non-competitive business. Foghorn's making the case for Coke, and for some reason, I don't think Coke clears that bar. It doesn't. I hear people say Coke, but Coke doesn't automatically mean cola. It's close, but it's not quite there. Crescent Wrench, is that a brand name? Anyway, Vice Grips, all of them. Crescent Wrench. Anyway, so hang on, I'm looking. Genericide, process of a product's name becoming genericide is known as genericized is known as genericide. I'm gonna make a screen grab of that baby right now. Thanks, Trevor. Boom. That was useful. Okay, so this is actually a really good angle. Oh my God, here's another one. Hang on. Beautiful work, man. Here we go. So Trevor also gives us thermos, Kleenex, Q-tip, chapstick, aspirin. Aspirin's a brand name? I didn't know that. Dumpster? Didn't know that either. Where does it put that bloody file? Stop doing that. They've added something to this Mojave and it just drives me bloody nuts. Go away. So let's have a look at this list again. I have to copy it again. No. Bastard. Losing my mind here over simple things, as usual. All right, here we go. So here's some others on the list. It's interesting. Band-Aid, Velcro, Hoover, Jet Ski, Speedo, Google, Uber, and Taser. All right. Now, is aspirin a brand? I know it's acetylsalicylic acid, but is aspirin a brand? Does anybody know? Bear is a brand, but nobody says, give me a bear. Is aspirin the name of a brand that? No, I don't think so either. It was. We're gonna have a comment fight. Everybody stand back. If it was, I'd like to know. I'd like to know if yes, aspirin's from Bayer, and Bayer is the biggest maker of aspirin, Bayer aspirin, and so on. But is the word aspirin a brand name for Xerox, obviously, for acetylsalicylic acid? Aspirin was a trademark of Bayer. Aspirin is it's not. I'm not confident enough with it. But in any way, it's good. Styrofoam. Styrofoam's a brand name. AKA Woody Fool. Styrofoam sounds more likely than aspirin. I thought aspirin was basically the name of the medicine, and was. Okay, here we go. My God, Trevor, you are a wizard here. Hang on a second. Hang on, I'm going to just copy this one too, Trevor. You're turning into my go-to guy here on this stuff. Let's have a look. right, so here's what Trevor went to say about that. By 1899, Bayer had named it aspirin and sold it around the world. Aspirin's popularity grew over the first half of the 20th century, leading to competition between many brands and formulation. The word aspirin was Bayer's brand name. However, their rights to the trademark were lost or sold in many countries. All right, so yeah, it's a brand. Okay, well, this is the sort of the intellectual foundation for the argument. Would be that if if people assume that if you want to find out information about something, if you want information, this is the argument. If you want actual information, presumably you want the truth about something, you want to find out the truth of something on the internet, you want to find out something about the internet, something about something on the internet, you Google it. And if it turns out that by using Google, which everybody does, nobody's using web crawler anymore, whatever those other things were called, those other search engines. So if by using the search engine called Google, you think you're searching for information, but what you're getting is information that is colored by the politics of the people who are running the service without letting you know that, then that to me is fraud. That's it. That's it. In fact, I'm going to write this down before I forget. Hang on. Just going to make a quick note. I know this show has a lot of dead air. That's what makes it so interesting. Almost all of it's dead air, really, when you think about the content. And then the little moments of interest come out and hit you like a thunderbolt once every 2 or 3 weeks. Good. That's a great, great topic. We're in. Love it. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. And again, the thing about the firewalls is that they're not just data. The reason that they're effective to the degree that they're effective is they're data with a story. And if you don't have a story, then nobody remembers the data. So that's what I'll do. That's great. I will. I'll go to that list and that's gonna surprise people. It's gonna surprise most people. Most of them surprise me, and I tend to be up on these things. Thermos, Kleenex I knew, Q-tip I knew, chapstick I didn't think about, but that's obvious. Aspirin could have knocked me down. Dumpster could have knocked me down. Band-Aid, when pointed out to me, that is a brand name. Velcro. Hey, by the way, I'm just going to do this real quick. Can somebody please holler in the comments section if they know for a certain fact that one of these is not an actual brand name? Trevor has been showing real quality information here, but just to back it up, because I'm going to use this list, these are listed as brand names for items that we call by their name. So here we go. Thermos, Kleenex, Q-tip, chapstick, aspirin, dumpster, Band-Aid, Velcro, Hoover, jet ski, Speedo, Google, Uber, and Taser. Wow. I'm just going to keep it to the ones that we can count on that are real simple. And you know, here's what I need. This is what I need. In order to make this thing work, I need props. So I'm going to bring in, and I'm going to have here with me, so I'm going to say, what is this? And I'm going to hold it up, and it'll be a cotton swab, but it won't be a Q-tip. And I'm going to hold up a bandage, but it won't be a Band-Aid, it will be a bandage. And then I'm going to hold up a jet ski, but it's not going to be a jet ski. It's going to be a watercraft manufactured by somebody not named Jet Ski. Kleenex. That's what I'll do. Those three. That's all. That's all you need. These are things that are in regular use, and maybe chapstick. But if that's what I'm going to do, have them on a table, and I'm going to say, you know, what's this? Is this a Kleenex? Is this a Q-tip? Here's a aspirin. Here's a Band-Aid. Only, and then I hold up the box. That's great. This isn't a Q-tip. It's a cotton swab manufactured by somebody. And this isn't a Band-Aid. It's a bandage manufactured by... This is great. This is great. This is really good. Really, really good. Sorry. I got to rebind that. I know I do. I just don't remember how. So anyway, did it on purpose just to test. All right. Let me just have a quick look here.